Bangladesh is different. So Bangladesh is largely manufacturing. They manufacture lots of ceramics and textiles and things like that. जिनका demand कम नहीं हुआ है, right? So the rupee going down actually makes Bangladeshi textiles and Bangladeshi ceramics even more desirable on the international market, because you're seeing, they're much more price competitive now, number one. Number two, what we have to look at is the way corruption and incompetence are huge in Bangladesh. Now, why is it going through all this electricity stuff? Because their gas reserves have not been developed. They have massive gas reserves. Okay, they have massive gas reserves, which they could have easily used to generate power. But they've been sitting on it for the last 10, 12 years, waiting for the highest briber to come and develop all of this and keep coming up with new schemes to maximize the bribe taking on this. Okay, so this is something which they now need to go in very rapidly for and accept international power generation agreements or whatever, so that it can be built. So, simple example, the nuclear power plant that the Russians built was one of the biggest examples of a good project gone wrong. It was all very careful, but then because of corruption, individual chairs, one chair was billed at $1,000.
My God.
And it was transparent corruption. Right? So it's not as bad as Sri Lanka, because they are self-sufficient on food. They produce very good food back home in Bangladesh. Because remember, I'm also Bangladeshi. Seriously, we're from Bangladesh.
Okay.
Yeah, we're East Bengali. So, I'm half East Bengali, half West Bengali. But anyway, quarter. My father said half East, half West. But, so they produce, so the food problem that became a problem with Sri Lanka is not there. Most of it's self-sufficient except meat. The second issue is fuel. That's a situation that can be turned around in a year or two if they start moving their asses, I'm still not seeing them move their asses on it. They're still holding out for their bribes and things like that. The third issue is their exports are actually much more competitive now. Fourth is their foreign reserves. If you look at it, the dip is nowhere near as bad. At its peak, it was something like about $48 billion. Now it's down to about $39 billion. Something like that, right? So it's not such a big dip. Mm-hmm. They have enough reserves to overcome their immediate needs, and their income generation through their manufacturing is quite sufficient to tide them over. I'm not seeing anything major happening with Bangladesh right now. Kuch social churn to hoga, because every time there is a resource crunch, because even a short-term resource crunch can lead to lots of political churn, which is inevitable. But I'm not seeing the kind of spectacular collapse like we've seen in Sri Lanka, or even the kind that Pakistan was caught up in.